let's flip it to the conversation with Alabama, because obviously they probably had the best win of the year prior to what we just saw tonight. We go on the road to Madison Square Garden, you beat St. John's. They controlled that game a lot, and they made plays. Baron Filan was outstanding. In this game, those guards struggled a little bit at times, and there were some issues. When you look at Alabama's situation, Coach, we'll start with you. Just your thoughts on some things that I hate that we're concerned so early in the year, but like you watch what just happened in Madison Square Garden, you watch tonight. Where do you think this team is at in terms of its development?
I think they're going to be terrific. I think they're very fast. They can score from all three levels. They have to get an inside presence. They need to get a guy that can score with his back to the basket and make a play in close. I will tell you this, playing against St. John's and Alabama, St. John's tried to play like Alabama. And that's a fast pace up and down. And Purdue was not going to play that way. So those guards went into the game tonight thinking, well, God, we scored so easily against St. John's and quick and out on the perimeter, where Purdue sat down, guarded them, made them go deep into the shot clock to get shots. It was a totally different game. Totally different.
Sorrell and those guys can't get lobs. They weren't going to get, Purdue just kept everything in front, so they were going to take away lobs. And they rely on that. They rely on you having a tag. They spread out for three. You don't go out, you outside the tag. They throw in lobs. That's where their inside baskets come from, their style of play. They just don't throw it in a post. That's just not what they do. They spread it out. They just try. It's a track meet with them. And the problem is Purdue did a great job of just making them one-dimensional. Like, hey, we're going to live and die. Usually, if a team makes 10 threes at the halftime, they're blowing you out. I don't know the last time I've seen the team have 10 threes and still be losing at the half. And they were right at, 16 threes is pretty normal for them. They probably going to need to make 20 because this is a contrast of styles, right? One team wants to play inside and out with traditional bigs. Ren is, Trey Kaufman isn't a tall guy, but he plays like a big. His best attributes is his back to the basket, but it was a great game. Purdue just controlled the tempo. Their philosophy won. They just said, hey, if you're going to make threes, you're going to have to make 20-plus threes to beat us. They only made 16. Hell of a game. I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line, I'd say, I wouldn't mind seeing these two play again.
Yeah. I mean, how you survived that first half is 10 offensive rebounds for Purdue, too. Like the physicality again of the game, especially in the first half, was huge. I think Purdue's defense in the second half got better. In the first half, I think they gave up a lot of those threes at times. Guys were ball watching at times. Guys were relocating. We weren't staying with guys relocating. I think they just were more locked into ball you man and able to close out a little bit better, make them take more contested threes than wide open ones that they had in the first half, and they converted them. Impressive to say the least. And Alabama's schedule, guys, as you know, Illinois next week. That's on Wednesday. Gonzaga, UNLV, Clemson, UTSA, Arizona. I mean, it is a murderer's row that they're about to play. So and this is NATO's MO right now is to play the hardest schedule in the country, and I love it. And I'm glad him and painted a home and home to give us this chance to watch this on a campus venue in back-to-back years. That's awesome. But Coach, when you think about his schedule, it's so challenging. I know he wants to know where his team is at. Is there any downside to playing something this challenging for a team like Alabama?
I don't think so. I don't think so because, being at Kansas for the years that I was there, we've had one of the toughest schedules every single year, and Kansas has got another one this year. I think you want to see where your team's at. You want to see what you need to work on, how you need to get better. By playing games where you're winning by 30, you're getting your bench out there. Those guys are getting to play some, but you're really not seeing what your team is. And I think going into these games now, Nate Oates is going to go back and say, hey, guys, we got to do a better job, obviously, on ball screens. We got to do a better job rebounding, taking care of the basketball. We got to make sure we can get a good shot, maybe getting to the basket rather than taking long threes. So he'll have things he can talk to his team about that will help them improve, and they'll play better and better as the year goes on.
I'll say this, guys. I think that, again, and I'm not talking about job security, but I think there's a tremendous amount of pressure and expectation on both of these programs because of how great they've been. Like, I don't know if there's two other coaches in the game right now that has more pressure on them to win a national championship because of their greatness and how great a coach they are, and two, the teams that they're in. We can talk about, you can look across the country and you can say some other programs, but these teams are national championship good, but they're also like, we end up saying this question with Purdue is, how many years can they be there? And they find a way they're there every year, it feels like. But the same thing with Alabama. They've been number 1 seed overall in the tournament. I mean, Nate Oates has done everything imaginable, collection of talent, having all these NBA guys and everything else. There's, at some point, he wants to get a national championship done. And so he's right. Scheduling these games gets it that way, but, not for job security. But I think these two programs and these two coaches in particular, with the great teams that they have and have today, have the expectations of winning a national championship and the pressure of winning one, because you just don't have that all the time. We thought it was over Purdue when you lose a 2-time National Player of the Year in Zach Edey, and then they're right back here as the best team in college basketball right now. And maybe Houston will have an argument about that, but right now I don't think anybody will argue Purdue is the number 1 seed after this, number 1 team rather, after this win tonight.
That's the only team I'd put into that category you just put there is Kelvin and Houston with obviously how last year ended, and with the period of his career that he is in. I'm sure he doesn't necessarily feel the pressure, but I'm sure that man wants to win that one, and he was right there.
I would add him to that. He's finally got the collection to do it. I agree with you on that. I would add him to that as well.
Last thing before
there'd be a couple of guys. There'd be a couple of guys you can add, but I think they all want it really bad. You got to count.
No. I think let me be clear. I think they all want to win it, but I'm saying, do they have I think we all would agree that these teams have national championship talent this year to win it. Not that the others aren't and don't have the expectation to. I think these guys have retention. They have experience. They have depth. They got great players. And they've been knocking on that door. They've been right there. I'm not saying there's other coaches that don't want to win it or aren't capable of winning it. We know Bill. I mean, I'm just saying, as far as guys that have not won one that we consider, if you make up a list of your top 5 coaches in the country or top team, both of these guys are on it. They've been right there. They have talent. They have all these things. I'm just saying you don't always have a national championship caliber team. And I think it's fair to say that both of these teams have it. And you don't get this very often.